Well, I was really interested in the idea surrounding drama and kind of evoking emotion. I felt that was kind of the easiest way to kind of capture an audience, was to kind of make them connect with like possibly a character. So I was always going to have the one pivotal character that would have a lot of stuff go wrong to him, which was kind of the character of Matthew. I drew a lot of inspiration from Australian dramas such as Animal Kingdom and Snowtown, which were kind of both quite bleak and grim dramas. I don't really know where I got the storyline from. I kind of just compiled bits and pieces. Kind of the year prior to Year 12 Media, I always knew I was going to do Year 12 Media, and especially film. So kind of the summer coming up to Year 12, I was really thinking about ideas, kind of strong kind of drama kind of aspects that I could use that would kind of evoke emotion from the audience. The rest kind of just came together in kind of the building of the script, and kind of I had to do a lot of drafts. I did about 7 drafts of my script, so the end result was a lot different to what I started off with, especially when I thought I was first done. The difference from when I thought I was first done to when I was actually done was about 6 drafts. So there was a lot of stuff in my first script, a lot of dialogue. I had not a mentor, but someone that kind of helped me, that had come into school and talked about filmmaking. I kind of had sent him my script and kind of said, what do you think of it? And he kind of just said exactly what my media teacher would have said as well, just there's too much dialogue, there's a lot that you can kind of portray in the film without words, just through shots, which are much quicker. Refining the script was kind of probably the most pivotal kind of part to the end result. The production of my film was very it was kind of stop-start. Unfortunately, I was very sick in Year 12. I had glandular fever and a few other problems with my body at the time. So my whole June, July holidays, where a lot of people usually get their filming done, was unfortunately useless to me. And I could also only film on the weekends when I got back, because I was just in bed. I was in bed for all of term 3, so really kind of stuffed up my whole schedule that I'd worked so hard planning and pre-production. But luckily that I did put a lot of time into pre-production, that the days that we had with the actors was so kind of on sheet, and we could just follow it as if it was a schedule, that no matter how sick I was, we could kind of get it done. I was still the cameraman, I was still the audio man and everything. I would have liked to have done it over 2 or 3 days, but had to do it over about 6 weekends, meaning that my post-production was kind of squeezed in. I will say that the pre-production that I did do kind of was the only reason I was able to shoot it, because had I not done as much planning and had it all on paper and knew what I needed to get done, I wouldn't have been able to get it done. The post-production wasn't too long of a process. I shot knowing I didn't have to do an extreme amount of kind of complex editing. It was very kind of sequential. So kind of once I shot pretty sequentially as well, so I kind of had all my footage in order already, so it was kind of just about finding the right cuts, and I did a little bit of color grading. There are strong kind of colors in the film, lots of blues when it's kind of to reflect kind of just the dull and the bleakness of the film, which of course I got inspiration from Snowtown, because that whole film's pretty much just this blue kind of really dull color. And then I have a few strong oranges, so I've never really used the kind of the normal white balance that would just kind of depict everyday life. I kind of wanted to make the blues bluer and the orange is orange. So in the bathroom scene, it's very orange, both that's at the very end of the film, and then kind of in the alleyway as well, it's very blue.
You're not my dad, all right, Lockie? You mean nothing to me.
Sound was definitely the weakest part of my film. I'm very bad with sound, and the whole film was kind of, I never really had a sound guy. It was always kind of just, I got a mic stand and I put it as close to the actors as possible, and then kind of made sure it wasn't in shot, meaning that often kind of I didn't get the right sound. It was too kind of low, or it just was too far from the actor. So I had a lot of problems kind of trying to make the sound of their dialogue there when it wasn't there. So there was a post-production kind of sound editing software through Adobe called Audition. a lot of the time I was and I had never used it before in my life, horrible with sound, but I kind of tried to teach myself through YouTube and just to try and kind of make the sound right, but a lot of the time it didn't, and that's very obvious in the film. So I had a lot of trouble with kind of the sound. That was definitely my weakest link. So that was probably the most trouble that I had in post-production for sure. The house has a natural, very kind of grim feel about it, and that's where I found kind of the heart of the storyline was around that location. So when we were filming there, I didn't want to use any kind of soft boxes. I didn't want to use anything that could kind of blow out that natural light that was in the house, that grim light. So I kind of just thought, well, I want to shoot it as naturalistic as possible, and I want to keep kind of the eeriness of the house as it is. So that's probably kind of that was my thinking. Put a lot of time into pre-production. That can save you. Put a lot of time into your script, into your actors. Make sure you can find a lot of people that can help you out. All my actors were friends, despite the fact that some of them were actually actors. I didn't have to pay any just because I caught up with them a lot, told them my idea, my plan, got them on board. So if you can find some really good actors, then that can do a whole lot of wonders to your film, because actors can really carry a film. So if you can kind of get in touch with some of them. Mine was an old school captain, one was an old friend of my dad who went to the school, one was a teacher. The teacher actually was the teacher in the film. He was my English teacher. Just kind of get in contact with everyone who you can get on board early, so that they know what's going on, so that if you set a date, that they can be there when you want them to be there. And I think script, though, really hone down on your script and make it as good as it can be, and then that'll pretty much carry everything else.